Board. Hello and welcome to the BA Knowledge Share. In this episode, I'm honored to have Asif Sharif, who is the founder and CEO of Modern Requirements, which is a software product. So welcome, Asif.
Hey there.
So can you sort of give us a little bit about your background and Modern Requirements as well?
Sure. Well, to begin with, when I was young and smart, I used to be a developer. And as a developer, one of the biggest challenges we face is understanding what needs to be done and managing the change of what needs to be done. And when I became the director of research and development for a large company, the problems only compounded because the complexity of a large system grows exponentially as the size grows. And so the question was, how do you solve this problem? And so what we did at Modern Requirements is we built a product for collaboration, requirement solicitation, management, reporting, compliance, and so on, to be able to solve not only software development, but firmware and hardware as well, because they all have their own nuances that needs to be managed. And finally, one of the things we did was back in 2010, Microsoft reached out to us and asked us to build Modern Requirements on Azure DevOps. Well, back then, Team Foundation Server, TFS. So we did that. And that partnership continues to exist today. In fact, one of the things I'll show you later today is Azure DevOps Copilot, which we have been co-developing with Microsoft's assistance. And so that relationship continues. So we're really a solution that's built on Azure DevOps. And so it completes Azure DevOps. So that's how we came about, and we serve clients all the way from banks and insurance companies to medical devices to automotive parts and governments and so on and so forth, and small clients as well as large users of our systems. So it's a broad portfolio of global clientele that we serve with Modern Requirements.
Great. Now, can you sort of dive into you have a broad client base, examples of how they're using your products, in the industry?
Yeah. So if you look at some of our, say, medical device industry. So we have many clients, Fortune 500 clients that build medical devices. Their system requirements, the risk analysis have to go through internal, but more importantly, FDA audits. How do you make sure that your system is compliant with your standard operating procedures, which can stand the test of an FDA audit? You see, when building a system for medical devices, if your audit fails, you've just lost a year, maybe two. That's a very expensive price to be paid. So that's one use case. The other use case is where we have clients building business applications, like banks. And they have a team of 600 analysts using our system. Of course, their IT division is humongous, but now they have to manage complex applications, lots of rules. So they would use our system. And on the other hand, we've got smaller private and government organizations where we might have 10 people who are trying to collaborate effectively, but what they end up with is fragmentation of information. They're using Word and Google Docs and Excel and Visio and on and on and on. So you got a lot of tools, a lot of hands, creating a lot of confusion. Modern Requirements streamlines that for them so that they can communicate and collaborate effectively, as well as to manage change. See, change management is one of the biggest problems in software development. You built it the first time, that's easy. What happens as you evolve, especially because we live in an agile world, in a DevOps agile world, and now we need a system that can help us manage that change over time and be able to see how things are changing. And people are communicating in the same sandbox. So we bring everything together within modern requirements.
Nice. Now, in terms of, I'd love to see the guts of modern requirements. And if you could sort of do a demo, that'd be awesome.
Sure, absolutely love to. Let me share my screen. And here we go. All right. So modern requirements. Let's go to, so I'm going to take you through a few key areas.
Mhm.
And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at smart docs to begin with. So smart docs is a bridge between document and work item management. Of course, when you manage your items, your work items, like requirements and features and epics or user stories and risks and hazards and so on, you want to manage them atomically. So you can assign it to people, you can track it, you can resolve it, but you want to be able to present it in an effective way. And one way to present it is to present it as a document. You see, everybody's used to working in documents, so people know what to expect from a document. When you look at objects that are all interconnected, it becomes very hard to put the big picture together. A document presentation is much more effective. So this is a live document. You can, in fact, create information within the document. You can insert existing information into a document. You can create diagrams into the document. And not only can you create these diagrams into the document, but from the diagram, you can create your work item. So I can go to this activity and say, because this activity exists, these user stories must exist, and something else might need to exist as well. So you can actually use the diagram where you can build this using a variety of stencils like BPMN, workflow, flowcharts, UML, and other artifacts. But once you build it, you can create your requirements from here. In fact, you can further go and you can say to the system, calculate all the scenarios for me. And the
Okay.
system will calculate the scenarios, because you see, if every step worked, but it did not come together well, it would not be useful. So we need to record our scenarios. And then further to that, you can create your test cases. So when you create your test cases, the system will detect all the test scenarios, and you can publish them as a test case work item with all your steps, the requirements linked to it, and a visual that shows you the thinking behind it.
Now, is it automatically creating the test cases?
That is correct. So it's analyzing the diagram and
Hmm.
creating your test cases from here. Although when you're creating your requirements from here, you're
Hmm.
doing it manually. You are determining that this activity exists, therefore I'm going to define some requirements. However, shortly I'll show you, you can actually use the Copilot for DevOps, and that's going to automatically create your requirements given the process or given requirements or features. And they'll also create test cases for you automatically based on
And
your textual
and
requirements.
for those that are not familiar with Copilot, you and I were having a conversation before we started recording. Copilot is a new tool, correct?
That is right. So
Okay.
we have been working with Microsoft for the last couple of months with OpenAI technologies
Hmm.
to build out the Copilot technology. You might have heard of Copilot in Word and other products.
Yeah.
We have been working with Microsoft to bring Copilot for DevOps within Azure DevOps.
Okay.
So, so you see, what most people do is they tend to create diagrams in one tool like Visio, and then create requirements in some tool like Word or
Word.
Excel, and they create test cases somewhere, and you get lots of tools, lots of hands.
Yep.
It's really a broken telephone syndrome on steroids. Now what we are doing is you build a good diagram, you create your requirements from it, you use the analysis to define your scenarios, use cases, or test cases from the diagram. It's more efficient. and it is more accurate. But
And
that's just one piece of what's in a smart dock. Of course, there's lots more information that goes into a smart dock.
yeah, because I do see here you have scoping, which is so critical for any sort of project, be it project scope or analysis scope. So that is very interesting.
Yes.
All those components.
Yeah. So now, not only can you build your documents with all of this information, and of course your features and user stories or whatever process template you're using, but you can version your documents. You can create
Mhm.
multiple versions of it. You can open previous versions. You can compare the versions and see what changed. Because if you look at just the work items over time, they're changing. There's a history, but to know exactly what changed is really hard. This
Yes.
shows you a red line view of what's changed. So Smart Doc is one thing. You can take this and you can do a review, get people's feedback. You can even get e-signatures as part of the approval process. There is the ability to create trace analysis. Of course, traceability in a lot of projects, especially larger complex projects, is extremely important. This is showing you your value chain up front, so epic to features to user stories. And then it's showing you how test cases are linked to the user stories and what are the bugs against them have also been listed.
Does this
You,
connect with any sort of existing um, tools like Jira or QC or any one of those?
yeah, so of course, modern requirements is built on Azure DevOps, so it does similar things to that of Jira.
Sure.
Um, in my opinion, it does it way better. But there is integration available. So we do provide a bridge
Mhm.
to synchronize data, either unidirectionally or bidirectionally with Jira or HPALM, or choose whichever tool you want. There's probably 100 some odd integration points
Gotcha.
available.
Yep.
Yeah. And then there is the intersection matrix where you can compare two dimensions, user stories versus test cases, and this is sort of your test coverage count. Um, and the arrows are showing where the links are. In this view, you can also make links as well as you can break links. Okay. And everything can be exported and reported on. You also have a tool for impact assessment. So you can actually start an impact assessment and identify what is impacted or not impacted. And when you're done with the process, you can generate an impact analysis document that identifies all the areas that are impacted, level of impact, your comments, the task you created to manage that impact. And then this is our Alice. So, sorry, our co-pilot. We had called it Alice to begin with,
Mhm.
but this is called Copilot for DevOps. And so one of the functions it does is analyze. So you can actually ask it that given this requirement that I was on, analyze it. So it'll actually go in through and rate it. So this is a pretty well-written requirement. So it's looking at the description in any other field you choose to include in the analysis. But you see in here, it gave me a 9 out of 10 for
Mhm.
completeness, but it's telling me how to improve it as well. Okay?
Gotcha.
So if you look at developers go through code reviews to tell
Yes.
you what's right or wrong and if there are ways to make it better. Here, Copilot can help you by suggesting what else you might want to do.
And this is almost as if like a peer review. I mean, it's really it's the validation piece of it. It's yeah, getting
Precisely,
into that.
precisely. Now, in addition to that, Copilot does a bunch of things. So you
Mhm.
could convert your requirements to Gherkin format, or you
Mhm.
can elicit. You can tell it, hey, given this, create my software requirement, or identify risks in it, or create my test cases from that
Mhm.
requirement. You could tell it that convert my description, which is this, along for that feature, into a Gherkin format. It'll actually rewrite your two paragraphs into a much more user-friendly format, in the given when then format, right?
That's
Which is
incredible.
brilliant because
Yeah,
it's so much easier to read.
it is. And the fact that it's doing it so fast.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. And if you were to do it manually, you can just imagine how hard it would be to, it'll probably take an hour to create a good set of Gherkin text. And this is doing it in a matter of a minute.
that's
And
in a minute. Yeah.
yeah, you're off to the races.
There's
So
a lot
guys,
of savings there in terms of time.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really, in a nutshell. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. There's requirements reuse. There's baselining. You can create mock-ups and wireframes. People use model requirements to define the data model and transformation rules, and on and on and on. So yeah, that's in short how model requirements works.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting, like from an analytics perspective, it's important to you spoke about data models and creating rules. I think those are important components to consider. What's next for modern requirements now that you've sort of started off with Copilot? What's your vision for the future of modern requirements?
So there's a couple of things. Obviously, AI with OpenAI has
Mm.
been supercharged over the last few months, and we see that will involve working with intelligent systems, in this case, Copilot, so that they can help you do your work. So you can do the grunt work and you can do the more engagement work with your stakeholders. And obviously, as a co-pilot, it's helping you, but ultimately you decide what you will absorb, and you can then further modify it as need be. So we are looking at, we have launched another phase of work with Microsoft recently,
Mhm.
looking at the sort of the next few stages of what's going to be in Copilot. So you'll see a continuous stream of innovation from there. And I'm sure as our clients use it, inevitably they come and tell us what they really want, right?
Right.
So there was a time when I would have an epiphany and I'll go chase that idea. But more and more, our clients are just telling us, I think about, I would say 95% of what we do today is because our clients are coming to us and saying, what if we had this, right?
Mhm.
And once in a blue moon, we'll get some clarity and start pursuing on our own.
No, this is great. So this was great sort of having this conversation with you and sort of understanding what modern requirements is all about. And I'm sure there's a lot of use cases and useful features in your product that folks can sort of take away from this conversation. So thank you so much, Asif, for joining, and wish you good luck with modern requirements.
Excellent. Well, thank you for having me, and take care, folks, and stay close to AI. That is the future. Thanks
I hear
again.
you. Thank
Bye.
you.